You're listening to the Jiu Jitsu Lou podcast, and I'm Lou Temlett. I'm guessing you're having a good day because either you've been on the mats, are considering getting on the mats, or maybe taking your family to train. I'm happy you're here listening or watching this episode. Please don't tap out before the end. When your ambition is to continue to refine your game for life, start training Jiu Jitsu. I'd like to welcome Professor Salvo to my podcast today. Good morning, Salvo. How are you?
Good morning, Lou. I'm doing amazing. Thank you. How are you?
Oh, great. Thank you. All the better for having you on my show. Thank you very much for accepting the invitation.
My pleasure.
I just want to kind of link together the last episode because Ian Rossiter name dropped you a couple of times.
Okay.
And at the, early in 2000s, you were both training jiu-jitsu. So tell me where it all started for you.
Oh, so it all started for me in Sicily as a 10-year-old boy.
Wow.
So I was a 10-year-old boy living with my family in Sicily. And as a 10-year-old boy, I was interested in martial arts. And I went along to what was the local judo and karate school. So I went along. However, my parents didn't sign me up. I was there and I would watch. I would watch the classes. And eventually the teacher noticed that I was there a lot watching the classes. But my parents hadn't signed me up.
Yeah.
So I started off by helping him clean the school. And eventually I got on the mats. He would let me train with them. And eventually my parents did sign me up.
Yeah.
But that was the beginning of my journey. And I was there. I was trained from the age of 10 till 15 in Sicily.
Fantastic.
And at 15 years old, I moved to the UK.
Oh, wow. I just want to go back to that 10-year-old you. And the initiative came from you. Now, I'm a parent. My children have started training jiu-jitsu. We all started training at the same time. But it was, I guess, a kind of joint decision. But it sounds like your initiative was right from the get-go, your desire and
really was.
Kind of, which is wonderful, when children are able to pursue their own, direction in life. It just kind of later down the line shows the dedication for that particular activity that they've made. You made that decision and you're still making that decision today.
I think, Luke, for me it was supposed to be this. This is supposed to be my path. And I'll tell you why. Even before I started training martial arts, I think I was about 8 or 9 years old. I took a bunch of my school friends home, little kids.
Yeah.
You have to understand, Sicily was very different, and we're talking about 40 years ago now, right?
Yeah.
I took my friends home. I put down in the garage some cloth sacks that we used to have that my father would use for his work. He had lorries and things. So he had these cloth sacks, and I put them down, and I pretended they were mats. And I was pretending to teach my school friends martial arts. At this point, I hadn't done martial arts. The only thing that I had done or seen at this point was a series of Bruce Lee movies that had been on Friday night for 6 weeks. Because I believe there's 6 movies from Bruce Lee. And I remember for 6 weeks, every Friday night, the Bruce Lee movies would come on. And I remember being fixated on those. And that's where it all starts, if I have to be honest.
Bruce Lee has a lot to answer for. Even my mother loved, bless her heart, loved Bruce Lee. So I think it's there for so many of us. Yeah.
My mother, bless her, couldn't leave her broomsticks lying around because I would chop them up and try and make nunchakas out of them.
Oh, my goodness me. Okay, so this really is a homegrown passion.
Oh, 100%, 100%. Like I said, as a child, I was pretending to teach martial arts before I'd even started martial arts.
Yeah.
So I really think that this is what it was meant to be.
That's incredible. I love that. The only memory that comes to me was, writing a register as a young child, and having all my toys as the school children, and I was the teacher. I've not yet gone that direction, but who knows?
It's never too late, Lynn. It's never too late.
Exactly. So how did it feel? What were you training when you first started training on the mats?
Karate and judo. Very little judo. A little bit of karate and a little bit of judo. But, the influence that my first teacher had over me in a positive way was amazing. And I have to tell you, we still talk now. We are still in contact now. Yeah, absolutely.
That's amazing.
He lives in Germany. I live here in the UK. But on a weekly basis, we will message each other. We will write to each other. And if we are ever back in our hometown together, we always make sure to meet up.
Oh, that's really beautiful. And I think, for me, that's one of the benefits of training a martial arts is that continued connection. You're making lifelong friends. Absolutely. That will always be there to support you.
I believe very much in fostering relationships, between the humans. Martial arts is the vessel that has put me on this path. But, still today in my own academy, I have students who have been with me over 20 years. I have Professor Jason. He's a 3rd degree black belt under me. And he first started training with me about 22 years ago, something like that.
Wow.
Coach Terry, I've known for 30 years, just after I arrived in the UK, pretty much. And this is what I mean. I think relationships with humans and the ability to maintain healthy relationships with humans, I think is super, super important. I think it's something that is overlooked by many and, perhaps even underestimated. I believe in these great, lengthy relationships between humans when possible.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for mentioning Professor Jason and Coach Terry, Professor Terry. Coach Terry.
Yeah.
I have come across Coach Terry. He's a brown belt, isn't he?
Correct, yeah.
He gave me some absolutely fantastic advice when I was training with him one lunchtime, kind of defending and, stopping the legs from kind of getting in guard and things like that. So actually, that was the day that my mindset shifted from upper body, go for the grips to start with, to then defending the lower body. So thank you to Coach Terry for that.
I'll mention that to him. We'll send him the podcast so he can see
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you're professor and of Gracie Barra Bath, and you have a number of schools in the area. Tell me a bit more.
So there's a lot to say here, Lou. There's a lot to say. So I can tell you about the beginning of Gracie Barra Southwest UK.
Yes.
The beginning of Gracie Barra Southwest UK, basically Professor Carlos Lemos Jr., of which is my professor, came to the UK and opened some classes in a sports facility in Bristol. Somebody came up to me and gave me a piece of paper and said, hey, I know you like martial arts. Call this number. So I called that number, and it was Carlos. Carlos and I met over 20 years ago, and we have an amazing relationship. Yes, he is my professor, but he's also my brother. My children call him uncle. His children call me uncle. We have the most incredible relationship. So Carlos encounters some difficulties, ends up moving back to Brazil, and then from Brazil to America. At that time, I had actually moved back to Italy myself. So I moved back to Italy, and then from there, I was going over periodically to Brazil. However, I decided to come back to the UK in 2007. And when I came back to the UK, I came back with a plan. And the plan was, okay, I'm going to open Gracie Barra Bath And once I open Gracie Barra Bath, I'm going to start teaching a bunch of people. And from there, we're going to open schools all across the region. This was my plan. But of course, nobody had ever done this before. This was something that had not yet been done. So a lot of people thought I was out of my mind when I said this, you know. However, today there's 21 schools in the region of the Southwest UK. And with that being said, somehow all of these schools link back to myself and Professor Carlos, somehow, somewhere, right?
Fantastic.
So, which brings me to my schools now. My schools are Bath, Bolton, and Westport Estate. And, you know, I also have 50% of Gracie Barra Gillingham. But, you know, my main focus is Bath, Bolton, and Westfield. Why? Because they're the ones that I teach at. I teach in Bath every day. And I also visit the other two schools twice a week.
Fantastic. The amount of dedication, and you know, you've set up the schools, you're associated with the whole of the Southwest, and teaching every day, it really does, for me, demonstrate your passion for the sport. I'm relatively new to the sport, but I can see and feel the dedication of everybody.
Can I jump in there?
Yeah.
I noticed that you said twice the sport. I have to correct that if you don't mind.
Yeah, of course.
We are first and foremost a martial art. And a martial art runs with certain etiquette. A martial art has a certain, what can I say? How can I put this? Has a certain way, the way of, you know, a martial artist, Bushido. The sport of Jiu Jitsu is a sideline of our martial art.
Oh.
And and I feel like today this is something that is completely forgotten by many and overlooked by many. I believe in the solid foundations of the martial arts academy. You know, we do a lot of competitions. We have some very high ranked competitors here at our school in Bath. But with that being said, everything that we do follows the ethos of a martial arts school. And this is the only way to I think, I could be wrong, to foster a healthy environment, which is embracing to everybody.
Yes. Cool. Thank you for kind of overcoming my, you know, the knowledge of the sport and then the martial arts. And, you know, I really do appreciate the respect of a martial arts.
Yeah.
I'm still learning, lots to learn.
We all are. Look, I believe in the ethos of martial arts. I believe in the hierarchy. For instance, my professor, he is the person that has guided me to my path. And therefore, I will always be eternally grateful to my professor, but also the lineage that we have. You know, my lineage is drinking straight from the source. I am the black belt of Professor Carlos Lemos Jr., who is a four-time world champion who has grown up next to Master Carlos Gracie Jr. Therefore, I have had direct contact with Master Carlos over several years.
Wow.
And, you know, being in that type of environment amongst giants, you know, I was just a little kid from Sicily somewhere in the middle of nowhere who ends up being involved with such historical figures of our game today, you know?
Yes.
And so I'm blessed. And this is something that must not be overlooked. And I continue to appreciate this every day.
Fantastic. So, is when you're training, how do you prepare yourself mentally and physically to be able to train and teach every day? What are your kind of top tips? How do you come to the mats?
Well, for me, it's really easy these days, Lou, because when I come to the mats of our schools, I come with open heart, open mind, open vision. So I arrive to the mat joy. You know, I am happy. I am blessed to be waking up every day and doing exactly what I love to do. I never use an alarm clock. I don't need one. I don't need an alarm clock. I'm doing what I love, so I'm always up and ready to go. Physically, yeah, I train. I train a fair bit. I train, you know, not only jiu-jitsu, I train down the gym. I make sure that I keep myself healthy and in shape. And, you know, this allows me to be able to keep training with my students. You know, I have 35 black belts, right?
Wow.
So, right. And, you know, not all of them are with us here at Gracie Barra Bath, because several of those black belts have their own schools, are doing their own things these days. But, you know, I have 35 black belts.
Wow.
So I want to keep training. I want to keep my jiu-jitsu as fresh, as sharp, as technical as possible. But yet I want to keep physically strong.
Yeah.
But I want to keep physically strong so that I don't injure myself when I train jiu-jitsu. So I don't want to be a bodybuilder. I do certain weight exercises to make sure that my body stays strong and healthy to be able to do jiu-jitsu.
I just want to go back to the open heart and coming to the mats with joy. That, for me, you know, fills my imagination and, you know, passion for martial arts. And I think, you know, having that joy, knowing that you don't need an alarm clock, you're doing and fulfilling your passion every single day, is just, you know, it becomes a mental health, a kind of emotional, you know, trigger to be better, do better, come to the world with joy and kind of, you know, the open heart. And I think, you know, that's the intrinsic feeling that I get when walking into Gracie Barra Bath, that there is joy. And it's just that unspoken sense of calm and happiness that we're all there to, you know, experience this martial art in a very open-hearted way. So I just wanted to acknowledge.
Thank you. I'm glad that you felt that, because this is what I want you to feel. This is what I want everybody to feel. Look, I feel so good coming into my own school. I feel so good to be on the mat, and I feel so good being around all of you amazing people. Why would I not want to share that?
Yeah.
You know, I'm not doing this for money. I'm not doing this because I'm doing this because I love this. This is what I'm supposed to be doing, you know. And I'm here for the long run.
Yeah.
You know, I've been training jiu-jitsu for 2.5 decades. I'm here for the long run.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going anywhere. You know, I'm going to be doing this till I'm a very old man.
Fantastic.
This is the plan. You know,
Right.
we were having this conversation with Coach Terry, actually. You know, I could just go back home and live my life on the beach, but I don't want to.
No.
As much as I have my ties to my country, Sicily, and I do go back there regularly, and I will spend a week here and there on the beach there or wherever else.
Yeah.
However, what brings me joy is teaching jiu-jitsu right here.
Yeah.
And, you know, as we speak, one of my students back there is about to set up Gracie Barra Agrigento in Sicily. So everything is moving beautifully in the right direction.
Fantastic.
I believe very much in energy, right? I believe very much in positive energy. Whatever energy you put out to the world is the energy you're going to get back.
Yeah.
I think you've had the experience of being around me on several occasions now, and your children. And, you know, all I want to do is give the best of myself to my school and my students.
I love that. This is the Jiu-Jitsu Lou podcast with me, Lou Tamlet, coming to you from the UK. When you're ready to pick up some Jiu-Jitsu Lou merch, head over to jiu-jitsulou.com/shop. And if you're looking for a discount code, sign up to my newsletter. Today, I'm having a conversation with Professor Salvo from Gracie Barra Bath. Thank you for being here, Salvo. I want to move on and talk about how might people find that energy to start training jiu-jitsu. What would you encourage them to kind of think about if they're not already training, and just some advice for their ongoing life journey of jiu-jitsu?
Okay. So if you are feeling a little down, a little out of shape, a little lethargic, a little, I don't know, sad,
Yeah.
Because I think that the world really needs cheering up. There's so many things going on out there, right?
Yeah.
I think that if you find a healthy jiu-jitsu school, it could really enhance your life. There's a lot of schools out there, Lou. There's a lot of schools, and there's some good ones, there's some bad ones, there's some mediocre ones. I like to give my best. I don't know where I stand amongst all of that. Well, I do, but I'm not going to tell you where I think I stand amongst all of them.
We know where you stand, Salvo. The energy and the feeling is very positive, and
right. And that's all I want to do, and I want you to feel that. So when somebody who walks through my doors comes to my mats, being beaten down by the trials and tribulations of life, I want that person to begin to experience an environment of positive energy and amazing vibrations. Because look, what is life about? What is life about? Life is about being happy. Life is about, if we are blessed to have children, spread that to our children. Our children will go on to live amazing lives. This is the plan, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is what we're here for, right?
Yes.
So at the end of the day, this is why I've gone back and I'm teaching the kids' classes again now, because I'd like to try to be a positive influence to those children before they hit the negativity of social media, YouTube, this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
Because that's not real life. Real life is experiencing other people and being outside and being on the mats and, riding bikes and falling over, scratching yourself, dusting yourself up and moving on again. That's real life, right? I think we've lost that sense of contact with real life. Many of us, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So I think that anybody who walks into the right school, like I said, there is many of them across the country, across the world, many great instructors, male and female, across the world.
Yeah.
And I sincerely hope that if you are thinking of starting jiu-jitsu, you take that first step. You find that right school. And if the school doesn't fit you, try a different one. There's a lot of schools, until you find the one that matches you, what you want.
Yeah.
With that being said, I feel like you have to always keep remembering, where are you when you feel happy? Where are you when you feel your best? Who's around you when you're smiling the most? I think if you remember those things, you start to realize very quickly where you're supposed to be.
Absolutely. I agree. And I was just having a moment of going back to all those times, where I felt happiest, and maybe listeners, you're kind of, thinking about that same, and, does that happen to be, training jiu-jitsu on the mats? Probably. I would say yes, 100% if you're already training.
For me, I'm a father of three. So the first thing is obviously my children, my family, and then my extended family, the mats. I have so many jiu-jitsu friends worldwide. I have been blessed to have taught seminars worldwide for years. For years, Lou. And this was only a dream for me when I was a child. This was only a dream. So I continue to give my best every day of the week, because my best could impact somebody else's life and could make their life a lot better than what it's supposed to be.
And I think having role models throughout your life to give you that positive influence is absolutely fundamental. Like you say, the young children, trying to give them real life before they're immersed in social media and mobile phones. Actually, those positive human role models that offer connection and support from, not just their family, but their extended family. And I think that's fundamentally what you're here to do, and for us to experience what that feels like as well.
Well, we're not all blessed to have our families right next to us. You know, some of us. My father lives abroad. My mother, bless her, she lives in Italy too. And I have a humongous family, as you can imagine. Being from Sicily, I have a huge family. However, I live in the UK, and in the UK. I spend the most of my time with my students. So if I didn't have positive relationships with my students, I think I'd be living a pretty miserable life. But I have, as I said, incredible relationships with my students. Not just my students, my friends. I'm the type of human that values relationships, and I can walk through town and there'll be so many people that I met at the very beginning when I first arrived in the UK. And those people are still my friends today, because I believe in that. I believe in, being there for each other, standing side by side through good times, through bad times. I believe in all of that.
I love that. Now, I know there are a number of competitions coming up over the next few weeks, months. There are always competitions. You've taken part in your fair share of competitions over your career. Give me a whistle-stop tour of your achievements through competition.
So I'm blessed. I've competed a lot back in my days, and I won several competitions. I won the World Championships of 2006 as a blue belt. I won as a black belt 2 European, several British Opens and things like that, several. And at the time, they meant a lot. However, I think if one focuses on the medal, we can lose the goal. And the goal isn't just a medal, because this is not just a sport. That is just a part of what we're doing. But I had a great time. I competed all over the world. I competed in Rio. I competed in Europe. I competed in America. So I've had a fantastic time. And I've also trained with the who's who of Gracie Barra and beyond. So I've had an amazing time on the mats.
And would you recommend anyone to put themselves in for a competition?
I think if you're a Jiu Jitsu practitioner, at least once, you should go and experience that. Because you might be the person that absolutely loves it. And then you will have the opportunity to compete every other weekend if you want. Equally, you might not like it. I have a good friend of mine who nowadays lives in Texas, but his name is Giuseppe Schembri. So his brother was a legendary jiu-jitsu fighter called Nino Schembri, and Nino went on to fight in Pride, fight in championships, super famous in his day. Pepe, on the other hand, he always took a little bit of a back seat. And he competed only once as a blue belt. And he didn't like the feeling, the adrenaline, the feeling, the stress. And he never competed again. But when I was in Brazil, I was living with these guys. And we would go to train, and we would go to Gracie Barra HQ, Rio de Janeiro at that time. And he would walk in, we would walk in, and he would do his warm-up, and I would watch him submit 3-4 different world champions on the same night. So it took nothing away from his jiu-jitsu. it's only he didn't like the feeling of competition.
Yeah.
But yet he was still submitting world champions on the mats at Gracie Barra. Because in those days, you could walk into Gracie Barra and there'll be 10 world champions training at the same time. It was insane.
Yeah. I love that.
So, competition is something for someone and something else for someone else,
Yeah. I think...
But I do recommend people should try it at least once, though.
I agree. I will still continue, obviously, when time permits, to get in for a competition. I'm, part of this show is to encourage more women to start training jiu-jitsu, and just to, encourage the flow, the well-being. From this episode, it really does cascade and kind of echo the positive feeling that people get from jiu-jitsu, and being around other connected martial artists.
We have a bunch of ladies that train jiu-jitsu here at GB Bath and across my other schools, and I have several female black belts also, which is amazing, right?
Yeah.
I have 3 female black belts. Isn't that cool?
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love the fact that it's a lifelong, commitment. Passion is not a commitment; it's a passion. It's something that when you get involved with the martial arts, then it becomes part of your whole being.
Absolutely. Like I said, I'm stoked every day of the week. That I get to do this. That I get to spend time on the mats, that I get to help somebody smile.
Yeah. Absolutely. Do you have any advice for anyone listening to this podcast with regards to training jiu-jitsu? What are your top tips, Salvo?
My top tips are this: play jiu-jitsu, don't fight jiu-jitsu. If you can play jiu-jitsu, you're going to be able to train for a lot longer. It's going to be so much more fun. You're going to be able to feel so much more and not miss the important stuff.
Mm-hmm.
When you fight jiu-jitsu, it's generally quite rigid. It's generally very aggressive. And you become a little bit with blinkers on, you're only heading for one thing, and you will not give up a position, and you will not allow that person to do anything back to you. I feel the more you can play jiu-jitsu, the more you will have the opportunity to evolve. And then once a week, twice a week, by all means, go hard.
Yeah.
But for the best part, I just want to play.
Yeah. I love that. Bringing the fun to this, the martial arts, for me, is what it's about. Whilst life gets quite serious, it's an opportunity to actually have fun and enjoy what we're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, people get stuck on these ideas of, the craze of footlocks, let's say. We do footlocks, of course we do. It's part of jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
But I'm not focused on footlocks. Yeah. I'm focused on jiu-jitsu as a whole. I'm focused from the stand-up all the way to the ground, all the way to any situation that may present itself. And I think for us, it's a healthy recipe.
Yeah.
I say it's a healthy recipe because at the end of the day, we have several champions in the academy. We have number 1 female blue belt in the world of Gracie Barra. We have number 1 juvenile blue belt in the world of Gracie Barra. We have number 1 youth orange belt in the world. So I think we're doing something right.
You are. Absolutely.
I think we're doing something right. And, I won't overemphasize any aspect of the game. What I want to do is move forward equally with every section of the game.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, it's one as a whole. If you go to Jiu-Jitsu and all we do is pull guard, there's a problem. If you come to Jiu-Jitsu and all we do is takedowns, there's a problem.
Yeah.
If you come here and all we do is footlocks, there's a problem. There has to be that right balance of having a comprehensive game.
Absolutely. Professor Salvo, I want to thank you for being on my podcast, sharing your energy. I really have refreshed inspiration for the martial arts and just the energy that it brings. So thank you so much for being here. And
my pleasure.
I look forward to training again tomorrow.
I look forward to seeing you. Have a lovely day.
Fabulous. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you for telling your friends about this show. To get notified of upcoming guests and special offers, head over to jujitsulu.com and subscribe. Thanks again for listening. Catch you on the next episode of the Jiu Jitsu podcast.